Hey, what is going on guys? Voltic here, welcome back to a brand new video, and on today's video I'll be giving you guys an extensive guide on the Grandmaster for this week, Devil's Lair. As always, if you guys are brand new to the channel, make sure to drop a like and subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video just like this. Anyways, let's get into it. To start things off, let's talk about the loadout I decided to use for this Grandmaster. For my kinetic weapon, I decided to go with False Promises. It has Rampage, Overflow, Armor Piercing Rounds, as well as Extended Barrel with a Stability Masterwork, as well as a Major Spec. It's a really good auto rifle, and hey, it's gonna work for the anti-barrier, so that's the weapon I decided to go with. For my energy weapon, I decided to go with Trinity Ghoul. It's a really solid bow, and honestly, since there's arc enemies in this strike as well as void and solar, I decided to go with this bow because it does wonders, honestly. You also need a bow for overload, so that's another reason why I decided to go with this, or divinity works as well. Up to you. It's always your choice of weapons that you want to use. As long as it works out for you, that's all that matters. For my powerful weapon, I went with Threaded Needle. Mine has Frenzy, Clown Cartridge, Accelerated Coils with Corkscrew Rifling with a Charge Time Masterwork, as well as a Boss Spec mod. So there you go. Those are the three weapons I decided to go with. Like I said before though, it's up to you and what loadout you want to use. As long as you have a good weapon that's used for overload as well as barrier, then you're set and ready to go. You also want to have weapons that are solar, arc, and void because it's all the burns in this strike. So it's very important to have a decent loadout for this strike, so make sure to have one that works out for you. Now, moving on to my armor, let's talk about the mods that I decided to go with. So for my helmet, I decided to go with Linear Fusion Rifle Targeting, Ashes to Assets, and an Intellect mod for my helmet. Next up, we have my gauntlets. I decided to go with Taking Charge, Fastball, Anti-Barrier, and an Intellect mod. Instead of Fastball though, I went with Overload Bow. That's a mistake. So my bad. For my chest piece, I went with the HALLOWFIRE Heart to pair it up with my hammers, which is really nice and effective. Taking Charge, melee damage resistance, sniper damage resistance, as well as an intellect mod. Moving on to my leg armor, I have the fusion rifle scavenger mod, an intellect mod, and for my mark, I decided to go with particle deconstruction as well as a resilience mod. And now moving on finally to my super, we have bottom tree with Code of Siegebreaker. Now moving on to the people that I was playing with, we have Karma, and he was using middle tree Dawnblade as well as ignition code, Lemonarch as well as threaded needle. Then you have his armor here. You can look at the stats, slow it down if you wish, but yeah, Lemonarch is very important because of the void, and then overloads, a very useful bow. Then for Jiffery, he was using Aegir's Scepter as well as Tyranny's Heaven, which is a bow from Last Wish, as well as the Hothead Adept, which is really nice. So good for him that he got a god roll for that. Haha, I wish I had one. And then I have another world, and he was using Stasis. So here you go. Those are all the stats. You can slow it down if you wish, so you can see all the armor and whatever he was using. But yeah, there you go. That's everything there. As always, just make sure you have a good loadout that works, and that's basically solar, arc, and void. So make sure you guys split it among your teammates, and have a good super as well. Make sure you're running those supers that give you survivability, that help you with clearing ads. And now we're starting off Devil's Lair. As soon as you spawn in, there's enemies in front of you, but you're not going to want to face those enemies. You're going to go real quick to the left and just hug the left wall until you go to these area right here, and there's going to be two acolytes to the right. Sometimes that acolyte can be a little fishy, and he likes to spawn inside the wall. If that happens to you, then just be careful and don't die. But you can also take your time and just wipe all the enemies from the area in there. Or you can also just be ballsy, even more ballsy than me, and go all the way to the train over there in the end and just stay there in the back and shoot the overload there. And then once the overload is dead, keep going forward to the next area. So you have to go up the two stairs in front of you. Once you take those two stairs, you're going to take two stairs down. You're going to see them later up ahead as you go forward. And before you continue on to the next room, there's enemies in there. Do not rush in there because, well, there's a Boomer Knight there for starters who's anti-barrier, as well as a bunch of Thrall that start rushing you who can melee you and basically one-shot you, and a bunch of other enemies there. So take your time here. Don't overextend and take it slow. Once you're done with that room, if you keep going forward, you're gonna meet up with a overload as well as a witch. Be careful though, and take your time in this area because you're gonna have to be clearing a lot of ads. Yeah, it's gonna get hectic in here. Once all of the enemies are dead there, if you keep going forward, you're gonna meet up with another anti-barrier, so get ready to get that knight out of the way, as well as a bunch of arc enemies and solar enemies to your left. So be careful, take your time, and don't rush things, and don't overextend and die Narnia. I did it a few times myself, and well, my teammates were not happy. Once you got all the enemies cleared out, you are now on to the next part, which is basically scanning the little drone there. But before you scan, get ready, grab all the ammo that you need, and you have two options here. You can either hide near the train tracks, which is to your left in front from the machine thingy, or hide behind you and go up the little falling balcony and just hide behind those crates. It's gonna get hectic in there. I mean, you're probably gonna need a lot of wells in there, so yeah, I don't know if you want to be in that balcony. Personally, I decided to go with the train tracks because it's more flexible in my opinion, and you know, it's safe in there. You won't really die unless you overextend or, you know, push too much. You can always hide behind there, so it's great. Anyways, once you're ready to go, whip out your ghost and start scanning the object there, and go to your spot and start getting ready for those 3 rounds of non-stop enemies. So much fun. The only tip that I can give you is don't overextend, don't push up too far, because if you die in Narnia, well, your teammates are not going to be very happy with you because they have to clear all the ads on their own, and if they don't have anti-barrier or overload, that makes it even harder for them. So take cover, don't push up too far, and just hide behind the train tracks, honestly, or the balcony if you chose that option. Start placing those wells because like I said, it's gonna get hectic. Once you're done with the 3 waves, moving on to the next area, you're gonna have enemies in there. There's gonna be an overload captain there. Don't push them too much because you don't want to die, and just take your time there. Once they're dead, you go to the next area. Do not go outside right away because there's anti-barriers, there's vandals, there's dregs, everything is trying to kill you in this area, and you're gonna want to take your time here. So I would highly suggest taking cover behind that door that basically leads to the outside. So use that as your cover and don't push up too far because you'll die instantly by the vandals who are sniping, or the dregs or anti-barriers, because they do a lot of damage. Once they're dead, you have enemies to your left. There's a brick to the right. There's a brick to the left. There's a bunch of shenanigans going on here. So get ready to be here for quite a while. And it's a war zone pretty much, if I'm being honest. Enemies in the middle too. There's dregs, vandals. The vandals are the most annoying because they snipe you. The brigs are annoying as well because they shoot rockets and railgun you to death, and then you have the spider tank who's also shooting you with missiles. So much fun. I highly recommend taking your time on this area and just slowly going through like the enemies. Just go to the right, then to the left, clear the right and then left, and then you have the middle part, you have the front of the part where the spider tank is at. Just take your time, don't overextend like I said, and take cover. Taking cover here is going to be what's going to improve your survivability. So take your time, play smart, and don't push too far. So go for the brigs first, then after the brigs are dead, go for the champs, and then once all the champs are dead, start going for the spider tank, and once the spider tank is dead, you basically wipe this whole entire area. As always, don't push up too far because there's a lot of things that are trying to kill you, and taking cover is the best way to survive in this area. Anyways, once you got the spider tank down, there's going to be enemies that are going to be spawning out of that door. There's an overload and a bunch of enemies there, so take your time here, and once they're dead, you're on to the boss part, but you're not there yet because once you get to the boss area, in front of you, there's 2 overloads. That's right, they're ready to shoot and kill, so take care of them and don't die. You can honestly, before you get into the boss area, use the little door entrance as cover so you don't have to push up too far, so you don't get wiped out by those overloads. And then once those 2 overloads and all the enemies are dead, the boss goes into the phase where you can actually shoot them. Once you do enough DPS, start rushing to the left side, because right there, that's where we're going to be taking most of the cover. In that room is where you're going to be surviving the most, because, well, there's a lot of enemies that are spawning in and are trying to kill you, so right there is where you can hide from all the gunfire. So yeah, you have the captains, our arc, you have the void floating servitors that you're going to need void for, you have the shanks, you have the dregs that are freaking invincible for some reason, so make sure to use that area as cover and just take your time, slowly just kill all the enemies, go for the servitors, and then do DPS, and just keep rinsing and repeating that until you finally kill the boss and you're done. And there you go, congratulations, you did it. You completed the Devil's Lair Grandmaster for this week, and you either got the Adept Uzume or Adept Plug 1, so those are the weapons for this week. So much fun. This rig is alright, it's not too bad, it's just annoying because of the amount of enemies that there are. It's just the way I feel, but other than that, it's an okay strike. It's definitely not as bad as the Hollowed Lair. I feel like that by far was the worst strike, and I need to make a video on that. And next week we have Proving Grounds, so there you go. Until I see you guys next week for another Grandmaster's Guide, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Drop a like if you did go on to find this helpful, and if you're brand new, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace!